Now we understand the concept of the inheritance and the encapsulation. Let's go to the next feature, which is also important, the interface. Interface simply, it's a contract, but without any implementation. And we mean by without any implementation that all functions should not contain any logic or any code. Just we will define the functions. We will set the names of the functions and the return type, but without any code. And we need to understand something, that the interface can be public or internal only. The access modifier by default for the interface is a public, and we can set it to internal, but we can't set it to private. We can't create also instance from the interface. So we can't say like the interface here called IOperation. We can't say IOperation object equal new IOperation. We can't instantiate object, and the interface should be public. Otherwise, it is useless. If it is private, so no one or no class can access the interface if it is private. That's why it should be public or internal, and the default access modifier for the interface is public. And how we can now create an interface? Using the keyword interface, and we give it a name. This name can be as you want. I also always prefer to start the interface name with I in order to understand that this is interface. So for example, IOperations, it is an interface, and I will open the curly brackets and close the curly brackets, and then I will define my functions inside the interface, inside the curly brackets. It is the same way of creating a class, but rather than using a class keyword, I use the interface keyword, and the functions should be like this without any implementation, and everything should be public or internal in the interface in order to be accessed. Otherwise, it will be useless. So in order to define a functions will be like this, either void, for example, save, and you can pass a parameters here also, or integer get id, for example, like this. But I can't create normal function with implementation in the interface. This is an example for the interface. Let's say that we have a student, a class, and also here we create an interface called IOperation with two members or two functions. Now I need the student to implement this interface. The same way of doing the inheritance by using these two dots, and then I will mention the name of the interface. But in the inheritance, I will not write the implementation of the inherited class here. But in case of interface, I have to do the implementation here. And this is the useful or the advantage of doing or creating the interfaces. This will allows me to create the implementation in my class. So if I have general operations like save and get id, and I need to use these two functions inside several classes like student, teacher, etc. So I will implement the interface, and this class already contains this private and this public function, and this which is labeled or colored here in yellow, this is the implementation of the implemented interface here. So here I will write the implementation of this interface function. So this public void save, it was here, void save. Now it come to here, public void save, and I can write my own code here. What I need this save function to do, like sum two values, do something, save into database, whatever the job you want. And also the next function, which is the get id, it was already defined here in the interface, and I will write the implementation for this method inside my student class. So this is the way how to implement the interface.